All right, today we are going to break down something called Dialectical Behavior Therapy, or DBT for short. Now, this is a really practical approach that was first created to help people who felt like their emotions were just totally out of control. It's all about teaching you a set of skills to build a life that you actually want to live.
So let me ask you something. Have you ever felt like your emotions are just this giant tidal wave, right? It just comes on so big and so fast that you feel completely powerless. Or maybe someone's even told you, oh, you're just being too sensitive or you're overreacting. If any of that sounds familiar, trust me, you are not alone. And there's a therapy designed for that exact feeling.
And that therapy is DBT. At its heart, it's a super practical, skills-based therapy made for people who feel things, well, really, really intensely. And the goal here isn't just about getting through the tough moments. It's about building a life that, to you, feels meaningful and genuinely worth living. Okay, so that big word in the name, dialectical. What in the world does that mean? Well, it's actually pretty simple. A dialectic is all about finding the truth, or the balance, between two ideas that seem like total opposites. It's about realizing that two opposing things can both be true at the same time, and it helps us move away from that kind of rigid black or white thinking.
And that brings us to the absolute core dialectic of DBT, acceptance versus change. The whole therapy is built on this one powerful idea. You can accept yourself 100% exactly as you are right now, flaws, struggles, all of it. And at the very same time, you can be totally committed to changing your behaviors to build a better life. See? It's not I accept myself or I change. It's I accept myself and I change. It's both.
So that kind of begs the question, right? Why do some of us feel emotions so intensely in the first place? Well, DBT has a really interesting theory that helps explain this.
It's called the biosocial model. And the big idea here is that these super intense emotional experiences don't just pop up out of nowhere. The theory says they develop when two specific things come together and interact over time. So what are those two parts? Well, part one is being born with a biological tendency to feel things very deeply. And part two is growing up in a social environment that just doesn't get it, an environment that dismisses or misunderstands those big emotions. When you mix those two together, you can get this really painful cycle of emotional struggle.
Let's dig into that first part a little more, emotional sensitivity. A really great way to think about this is the orchid and dandelion metaphor. You know, some people are like dandelions. They're hardy, they're resilient, they can pretty much thrive anywhere. But other people are more like orchids. They're incredibly beautiful and unique, but they're also way more sensitive to their environment. They need just the right conditions to really bloom. And there is absolutely nothing wrong with being an orchid. It just means your needs are a little different.
Okay, now imagine you're that sensitive orchid, but you're being raised in a garden that expects you to be a dandelion. That's what DBT calls an invalidating environment. It's any place where your big, intense feelings are constantly brushed off, or punished, or just plain ignored. When you hear things like this over and over, you start to think maybe you're crazy. You start to doubt your own feelings, which, of course, just makes everything hurt even more.
So if that's the problem, what's the solution? This is where DBT gets really cool. It's all about finding that dialectical balance we talked about. It's about learning how to step out of those emotional extremes and tap into this place of inner wisdom. See, DBT says that we all have different minds, or states of mind, that we can operate from. And when we're stressed, we tend to swing from one extreme to the other.
On one side, you've got what's called the emotional mind. This is when you're running hot. You're reactive, driven by your gut feelings, kind of like a protective mama bear, right? Then on the complete other side, you have the rational mind. This is cool, logical, totally task-focused, almost like a robot. Now, both of these minds have a purpose, for sure, but living only in one or the other, that can cause a lot of problems.
So the goal isn't to get rid of your emotions and become a robot. No way. The goal is to find the wise mind. This is that sweet spot in the middle. It's that beautiful, intuitive place deep inside you where your logic and your emotions meet. It's where you can say, okay, I feel this emotion, I acknowledge it, but you're not controlled by it. And from that place, you can make decisions that feel both smart and true to who you are.
Okay, so finding your wise mind sounds great, right? But how you actually do that, especially when you're in the middle of a crisis? Well, this is where DBT gets super practical. It's all about learning and practicing very specific skills.
These skills are usually taught in 4 main groups or modules. You've got mindfulness, which helps you stay grounded in the present moment, distress tolerance, which is all about how to survive a crisis without making it worse, emotion regulation, to understand and manage your feelings, and finally, interpersonal effectiveness, which helps you build good relationships and ask for what you need.
To make this feel a little less abstract, let's zoom in on just one famous skill from that interpersonal effectiveness module. It's an amazing tool that basically gives you a script for how to ask for something you want or how to say no without losing your self-respect or blowing up a relationship.
It's called the Dear Man skill. It's a handy acronym that walks you through a tough conversation. So, for example, instead of yelling, "You never help out around here," you'd start by describing the facts. "Hey, I noticed the trash didn't get taken out." Then, you express your feelings. "I feel pretty overwhelmed when I have to do all the chores." You assert what you want. "Could you please take out the trash?" And you reinforce why it's a good idea. "It would really help me relax tonight." The man part just reminds you to stay mindful of your goal, appear confident, and be willing to negotiate. It's a total game changer.
So, you've got the theory, the concepts, all these incredible skills, but where is all of this work leading? What's the ultimate point of DBT? Honestly, this is what it all comes down to. The main goal of DBT isn't just about managing a crisis or making a symptom go away. It is to help each and every person figure out what a life worth living means to them, and then actively go out and build it. It's such a hopeful and personal mission.
And that's a really important thing to understand. DBT does not see you as broken or needing to be fixed. The whole philosophy is that you're already doing the very best you can. You just might need some new, more effective tools to handle life's challenges. DBT is all about giving you those tools so that you can be the architect of a life that feels authentic and fulfilling.
So, we'll leave you with a question to chew on. When you look at your own life, what two opposing ideas, like acceptance and change, or your emotional mind and your rational mind, could use a little more of that dialectical balance? Because finding that middle path, well, that might just be the first step to finding your own wise mind.